Welcome. Hello.
Hello.
Got people watching already. Welcome, everyone. We are joined tonight by Tasha Anderson, a multiple dog grooming salon owner. I have to get that in there. So Tasha owns Golden Paws Limited and also is just taken on Lady and the Tramp and is now a multiple business owner. So well done. Congratulations, Tasha, because this all gone through this week, hasn't it?
Yes, it has. Thank you very much. Hence the reason I got big bags into my eyes.
It's been a lot of work and a lot of planning, hasn't it, to get you to this point? So
yes,
that's why I had to emphasize what you've done, because it's a great achievement for you. So not only is Tasha a multiple salon owner, she is a ICMG pet groomer and owner of a pet grooming school as well. So welcome, Tasha. Thank you for coming on and speaking to us and the community. And we're going to be talking all about ICMG tonight. So perhaps we start off with your sort of grooming journey. You know, how did you get into pet grooming? How long have you been doing it for? And what got you to the point where you're a multiple salon owner?
Well, I actually fell upon grooming, really. I took my very matted Bichon to Carol that used to own Lady and the Tramp. And yes, she had to shave it off with a 30 blade. So I got the biggest telling off of my life. Then my mum had the cheek to ask if she'd take me on for work experience. And then asked if she'd take me on as sort of Saturday and holidays, etc., because I was quiet and shy and she thought it might help bring me out. Now she wants me to put me back in. She wants to put me back in my shell for years. And yeah, that was it's my 30th year this year.
Wow.
I was 14 when I first met Carol. Never thought I would be sat here now saying I'm a multiple salon owner. So I've been through the journey with Carol. She started the business a couple of years before that. And yeah, we've moved from a garage to round the back of a pet shop to where we are now. And I think it's about 11 or 12 years ago, she was getting busier, but she wasn't busy enough to take me on full time. So I split my full-time job down to 3 days and worked with Carol 3 days, and I did another job on the 7th day. And she took me on as a business partner. And then as we moved, then she was like, right, I need you full-time. So took a big pay cut and went, okay, let's work things out and everything else. And that's pretty much it, really. And she did say she wanted me to develop the school because she didn't want me just to be sat behind her all the time. So that's where we started our school, just initially, just having people in with us while we were working, etc. We did then expand out to a separate premises just for the school. After trying that for 12 months, it just wasn't great, because I'd take a few dogs from the salon, walk across the road with my students, and they'd only have like a couple of dogs a day to work on, but they weren't actually getting the experience of the salon. And I wanted to give a lot more to them than just, here's a dog, this is how you groom it, and we can take all day to do it. So then Golden Paws became available. Unfortunately, the lady that used to own that passed away quite suddenly, but we'd already spoken to her a few months before that. So that came up, and it just seemed the right place to do to then grow into the school. We then were headhunted by Ian and Angela Cayley, who run the ICMG qualifications over here in the UK. They came and visited us several times. We went out for a meal. We had lots of talks and chats. They really got to know us. And they're really quite cautious about who they take on as one of their schools. So when they said if I was to fast track, if Karen and I were to fast track through it, they would be really happy if we became one of their schools. So I was quite honoured with that. And so, yeah, so here we are today. And as I said, Carol then decided probably last year now that it was time that she didn't want to run a business anymore. She doesn't want the responsibility of staff. She just wants to go in and do grooming.
Yeah.
So then we just sat down and we had quite a few conversations about me buying it and how we were going to work it and everything else. And yeah, so And it wasn't just me buying a business, it was me buying something that she'd worked hard for and I'd worked hard with her to do as well. So I'm very honoured to be in a position to take it to its next step now, hopefully.
Carry on the name of Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, and it's, you know, she's had that name for 32 years. And when I went in on Monday, there was several clients there that were doing like their third generation of dogs, and they've been on the journey with me as well. They've known me since I was 14 and a stroppy teenager, and you know, so yeah, so to see the fact that they keep coming back after each dog is just says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
So when you got into the pet grooming industry with Carol, did you do a professional qualification before you did the ICMG?
No, I did a few years before that. I did my Sitting Guilds level 3 qualification. I went over to a place in Cheltenham and did my exams because I didn't need to do the training. And yeah, when I then found out about the ICMG qualification, can I just say, first of all, there is a qualification that's right for everybody out there. There's no, for me personally, when I looked into the ICMG qualification and the different stages and how it worked and how much thought and consideration goes into who's teaching it, it felt more right for me to do that rather than the Sitting Guilds. And I actually felt like I learned something when I started doing the qualification myself. I felt it made me more aware of different, it was about, you know, everything about the groom. And the first part of the qualification is a pet groom. It's a short pet groom that you send out every day rather than sort of a breed standard, which I think is quite a high level, and you need a bit more experience to get that. And I was like, great, because when I'm teaching, I want to teach people pet grooming. I want to give them the foundations. Later on, they can go on and evolve and do higher standards and everything else. But because I have a lot of people that want to set up on their own, this qualification was just, yeah, and I'm super passionate about it because I like what it represents and I like how it develops a person and how much you gain from it as well.
So we kind of jumped straight into it. Perhaps we should
sorry.
start off with what ICMG stands for, so people can understand what that is.
So ICMG stands for International Certified Master Groomers, and there is 3 levels that you have to go through to get that title. It's run by a company called IPG, which is the International Professional Groomers Limited. And this qualification is recognised, I don't know how exact number, but all over the world, in a lot of countries, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So if you did a qualification here and then you decided to move to another country, the chances are it's going to be recognised in that country as well. So not every country, but a lot of countries. So like I said, then there's 3 levels to go through.
So there's going to be schools in other countries as well that teach the same syllabus that you teach and same qualifications.
Yeah, I think it's adjusted slightly. The syllabuses might be slightly according to the country, because obviously we all work very differently. In
different dogs as well.
Different dogs and different, you know, in some countries, thankfully, we haven't got rabies over here. We don't have pit bulls, or we shouldn't have pit bulls. But there's, you know, in America, the dogs that we have that are banned over here are legal over there. So there is a little bit more to it, or it's adjusted slightly. But it was originally, I believe, it was originally founded in America, and then it's gone from, and again, with the founders of it, they then are very cautious about who they allow to run it in that country as well. So I know that Ian and Angela went over to America and did a lot of training themselves over there to then bring it back to this country.
Cool. So what are the stages of becoming an ICMG groomer?
Okay, so it starts off with, there's lots of letters, but it's CPG, which is Certified Professional Groomer. So this is split into four parts, and you have to do this all together. So you will get, once you sign up to it, you will get sent 2 books, and you literally just need to read those back to front, forwards, backwards, etc. So there's 2 written exams, which are an hour each, and they are either multiple choice, true or false, or you might have some questions that you might have to give 3 or 4 answers to. They're not, you know, you haven't got to write essays or everything else. And everything that's in that book, they talk about diseases and ticks and parasites and things like that. Everything's that in that book is what you're likely to be asked in your exam. And then you have to do they call it a kennel clip. For me, being a poodle owner, my idea of a kennel clip is everything off. And I'm like, what, we got a 5F, everything off? That's a bit rubbish. But no, it's a short pectrum. So it can be any breed. I mean, I tend to go either for like more like a walkout. I suggest people go more for a walkout to start with, cockapoo or a poodle or a bichon or something like that. So you can use attachment combs, and it's a slightly shorter body, slightly longer leg with some scissor finished on it, and a cute little face, and you know, trim the tail depending on what you've got. You've got to have 8 weeks growth on it or thereabouts. So you have an hour to bath and dry, do the groin, do the nails, and do the pads. That's your first part of your exam, and then obviously that's checked through. And then your second part of the exam is another hour, is the actual groom itself. So you then have an hour to do the rest of the groom. So you use the same dog, and as I said, that all gets done on the same day. And then you can, and there's different parts of it. So you can get a certain amount of points for different parts, and one of those is compassionate handling. Now the compassionate handling doesn't mean you have to be all like fluffy and like, if your dog's been a bit difficult and you need to be a little bit assertive, as long as you're compassionate about it and it's doing it on the right level, you're not swinging it around by its tail, then you know that's okay as well, because they want to see that you can handle dogs that might be, you know, who has a perfect dog in their salon? You know, they're like unicorns, aren't they? They don't come around very often. So it's okay. Obviously try and pick a dog that is comfortable with it and everything else, but on the day they allow for nerves. You're going to be nervous, the dogs are going to pick up on that. So yeah, so that's the first qualification, which is a CPG.
So when you've passed the CPG, are you allowed to put those initials after your name?
Yes.
Right, okay, so you're on your journey. So
yes, and then you can, if you want to stay there and you don't want to go any further, you can absolutely stay there. That's not a problem. You have 5 years to complete the full qualification.
Right.
Obviously we've had COVID, so there's been a slight delay for some people. So that's the first part, and you can then use the letter CPG after your name. You can use their logos and everything else. So the other thing I said, there is an annual fee for it each year. And a lot of international qualifications, you do have to be a member of a body and pay for that. I'm not saying we're as qualified as solicitors and things like that, but people that practitioners and things like that, they also have to pay to keep their qualifications up. So I think that's about £80 a year. And when I work that out over months, it's not a lot at all. No. And you get a lot of support. There's a group. All schools will help you. You know, if you came to my school, but then you were near another school, you know, there's a real nice community of support and help there as well.
I see.
So then, do you want me to move on to the next level?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just taking over here.
No, that's fine. I can sit and listen.
So the next level is then your certified advanced professional groomer. So this is then your double coated dogs, and I tend to find a dog that's coat is really blown. I mean, we had a husky, and there was hair everywhere, and they were like, great, this is what we want. If it needs a scissor finish, then do so. If you don't normally put a pair of scissors on that dog, don't put it on there. It's more about that you understand how to deal with a dog with a double coat that's heavily coated and blowing. And yeah, and I think that's 90 minutes for that one. What they basically want to know is that you're not going to go in and shave off that double coat because you think, oh, you know, scissor the knickers, as I call them, really, really short or whatever. And the next one is then a toy size, which is anything under 11 inches at the withers. That is all about, let me get this right, my head's a bit funny at the moment, balance and symmetry. So if you have, and also the handling. So obviously with smaller dogs, you need to consider that their trachea are a lot softer. They might not need to have a restraint around them. You can't manipulate their legs as much as you could with a bigger dog, etc. So they're also looking at, again, at your handling. But also, if you've got a dog that looks quite long, you want to be able to show that you can make that dog look slightly shorter with your clipping and your trimming, and it's all balanced. So this is where we start to get into a bit more technical stuff with our clipping and trimming. Again, you can clip the dog, but they want to see more scissor work with that as well. And this is when we start to have a bit more angulation, and a bit more, like I said, that next step up from the kennel clip or the pet groom.
So that's the sort of the exam standards, isn't it?
Yes.
How do the students, are they working in their own practice at this point, or are they still working in your school and learning these techniques? Or
so for me personally, my students come in normally brand new. They've got no experience in dog grooming at all, so they have to do a 12-week intense course with me. They also have to complete 250 hours of work experience in another salon, and then when I think they're ready, then I'll put them through to their exam, but I won't put them through. I would rather them be getting their speed and their confidence up with the pet groomer first and understand it properly before I start putting them through the exam. I then say to people, go away, build your business or work in a salon, build your confidence for like 12-18 months. And then when you're ready to do the next one, come back and talk to me, and we'll either do it together, or they can do it off their own backs. They can just go directly to Ian and Angela and book it themselves if they want to. So, you know, if they're working in another salon and they've brought them on that far, then fantastic. So yeah, you do obviously have to know what you're doing. You do have to be grooming at the moment. But if you've been grooming a couple of years or 20 years, you can start this journey whenever you wish. And you don't have to go to a school if you're at a good level. I do have some people that have been grooming a long time and they come and do a mock exam with me. That's just something I offer. One, if they're coming to my salon to do the exam, they're familiar with their surroundings, and it just makes them a bit more relaxed. And also the dog is a little, you know, knows what's going on as well. And I just go over the dog and I give them some pointers, and in areas I think need improving, then they go away and practice, and then they book their exams. So with the second one, there's another written exam, but you get another book for that as well. So it's kind of taking you through each bit a step at a time, which I like. And
the fact that you've got 5 years to do it, it gives you the ability to learn, pass an exam, go back and do more learning, take your next exam.
Yes. Yeah. And then we go on to the masters, which has then got a load of exams all mixed in together. So you have written exams on all the groups. You're going to question me about the groups now, aren't you? I
was at Crufts, I know what all the groups are.
Yeah, you know all the groups. So you've got your working, your gun dog, your utility, your all of those. Every one will have an individual written exam, and you need to use the Kennel Club Breed Standard book for that. Study. Now I poured my hair out doing this because I am, for anybody out there's like, I'm niggas, I am terrible for revision. I'm terrible for, if it doesn't go in straight away, I'll put it down and I get frustrated with it. And I did it, I fast tracked it, so I did it very intensely. I learned a lot, which was lovely. And you have 5 practical exams to do. So those are 5 of the groups. So you've already done your toy on your second one, so you don't have to do that again. So your utility, you actually do have to do a crossbreed. Your working terrier, and I'm sure there's another one which I'm forgetting. And those have to be to breed standard.
Right.
You have to do those to the breed standard. So what I say to any of my students that are going to that level, I say, right, which one do you want to do first? And if they say, right, I want to do terrier, I will suggest somebody that's experienced in that department and go and do a day's training with them. You know, if it's spaniels, go and do a day's training. If it's poodles, great, come with me, I'll help you with that one. So I would suggest they go and see somebody or spend a day with somebody doing some training on that particular dog as well. Because I don't do a lot of breed standards. I do a lot of pet grooming, which most of us do. So I went and did some training for my exam as well. And again, I loved it because I learned more, and the knowledge I picked up, I was then to pass on to other ones as well. So yeah, so there's 5 practicals, and then there's the written exams as well. Again, you can do those. You can do a practical one day, you can do a written another day. You can just take your time. You don't have to do it all at once. What a lot of people do is they might do 1 or 2 that they're confident in to start with, and then they build up with the others.
Yeah.
And it is all about the breed standards. You want to know what set the teeth are, what shape the eyes are, how the ears are set, if they're up on the hock or whatever. So there's a lot more in depth, but I really enjoyed it. Although I got frustrated and was like, I can't do this. I would like to do it again, just to see how I did again, you know. But I learned, like I said, I did learn a lot, and it made me not even necessary on the grooming side of things, but the information I was then able to share with my clients. And a lot of them haven't got a clue about hand stripping or anything else, but the fact that I sat there and I could confidently talk about things like, oh, you know quite a lot, or breed characteristics or things like that, it's really good for your business. And I think it's good for you to, you know, we all get stuck in just plodding on, doing the same thing every day. I'm passionate about this industry, and I think we should all, doesn't matter if we've been doing it 2 minutes or 30 years, I think we all should continue to push ourselves to know more, so that we can understand the dogs and our clients, and just give that better service.
It's a very structured qualification, isn't it? And it sounds like it takes a student from the ability to run their own business and do those pet grooms, which, you know, is bread and butter, all the way through to having that greater knowledge about the animals and the breeds and the breed standard, to producing, you know, competition winning breed standard dogs as well, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. And that is why I was so passionate about it, because it kind of starts you off at the beginning, and that's how I teach as well. So whenever anybody comes and does an intense course with me, I make it very clear that I'm giving them the foundations. You know, I said, it's a bit like building a house. You've got to have good foundations first, but it's up to you to go and get the bricks to start building the house, and then to be able to buy the windows. I can only do so much. I do, you know, some people say it like that, others go forward, and, you know, I stay in touch with my students, and I help and support them for as long as they're in the industry.
Yeah. So do you struggle to get the breed standard dogs? Because, you know, what we see every day is like,
yeah, I mean,
very rarely you get like Scotties and Westies and nice.
I mean, most people get like a long-legged terrier in, or a Welsh terrier. I mean, what I did, because we didn't have loads of breed standards either, is some of the I started looking at my clients, at the dogs, and going, oh, hold on a minute. And then I came to a deal with my clients, and I said, right, if I grow your dog out, I know you normally have it cut short, but I maintain it for you, would you let me to use it as the exam? And I've given discounts, or I've done free, but I've made them sign a disclaimer that if they touch a hair on that dog's head, they have to pay back every single penny that I would have spent on it. So yeah, and all the time now, because I'm teaching, I'm constantly, every time I get a new dog in or something, I'm like, oh, this is quite nice, right, we'll pop that down in the exam. And when I say to somebody, you know, your dog's really nice, could I use, if I need to, could I use it for an exam for my students? They're like, oh, do you think our dog's good enough? Yeah, and they're like, oh, this is great. So yeah, and they get a couple of free baths, and I can't remember what I've done recently. I think I give them like a 25% discount, because it helps me, it helps the students, and, you know, they'll bring the dog in on a day that they don't normally do. So yeah, so everybody's happy.
Cool. And what's the quickest someone could go from zero, like a 0 to hero? Call it, used to that in the police, on driving courses, like 0 to hero from a basic driver to an advanced driver, and that was like, oh, it was quite a long time. It's quite a lot of pressure. But how quickly could someone go from?
It really depends on your experience, your knowledge, and your confidence. I would say if somebody was just starting with me, I would expect them to take the 5 years to get to that level or thereabouts. Some people probably will get there a lot sooner. But you can do it as quickly if you want to. If you've been working in the industry for quite some time and you've got a lot of knowledge, you can just do it as quickly as you want to. If you've got the dogs and the time, you could probably do it in 12, 18 months. But that would be you're banging out exams and everything and doing a lot of revision. I think the 5 years for somebody that is brand new, to then get into the ICMG, that the master's level, I think that's a good time to go for it.
Yeah, I think if you do it too quickly, you probably won't absorb as much information as perhaps you'd like to, and it'd perhaps spoil the course, maybe. I don't know. And
I also think if you push yourself so quickly, you're so full on studying that you might forget about correct handling and actually problem solving with the everyday dog. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't be expecting one of my brand new students to be going to that level within a couple of years. Like I said, unless they've come with some really good knowledge already. I just think it's important. And so, yes, I'm all for exams and I'm all for qualifications. I'm more about making sure they've got the right nature and the right influence first before going for the qualification. And that's why I take my time with them. That's why I like them to do the 250 hours before I even consider putting them through. And then we'll have a couple of practice runs with the dog they're using as well. So yeah.
How hard is it for them to go out and find the work experience?
Well, we've got a really good community here where we are. We've got a little local Facebook page, and a lot of the local groomers have sent their staff to me for like refresher training and things like that. So they either find the work experience for themselves, or if they go through me, then I will find somebody that's got at least 5 years experience. They're a busy salon, and no, it's not that difficult. But then I don't have lots of students. I'm quite exclusive. I only have 1 or 2 students at a time, so I haven't got to find like 5 or 6 work placements. Some have stayed on, been kept on, and they've had a job they thought they were going to set up, but actually they've stayed on and they're doing very well. Other people have done their work experience and built up their business at the same time, but also had work as well, and when I speak to people about it, I'm like, it's a great way for you to get to know this person. And once they finish, if you're like, God, no, they did my head in, I can't work with them, you don't have to offer them a job, but you get to know them and whether they fit into your business and your team. So no, I've not struggled much at all. And I have lots of people in the bank. So if I do need somebody, I can give them a shout. And also, did I mention I'm a two salon owner now?
Oh yes.
So I have another salon that I can send them to, and they've had, even before I took over, they've had work experience over there as well. So
I have actually, I can't remember the person's name, but there was a groomer I've spoken to before, and I'm like, where do you get all your groomers from? Because it's very difficult to find pet groomers. Yes. And she was one of the salons that offers work experience to colleges and training schools, and it's like, you get to cherry pick, you get someone in on work experience and see that they work really well. Bloody hell, we'll keep them and offer them a job, sort of thing.
I've kept one of my students.
Yeah.
I've kept one of mine, and I've got 2 apprentices as well, which I'm working with. So so I've either worked with them for 3 months, or I've had them for 12 months. And then you really get, and I think that's the other thing. It's so important to find the right people. I can teach the grooming, they don't have to be the best groomers, but I do have to have the right attitude and kindness. I have to have kind people that want to do well and go forward and have the passion and drive that I have. So yes.
Yeah, one thing, because we've worked together, haven't we? And one thing that I've always respected with you is how straight you are and how you go out. You don't just go and work with Tasha and go to her grooming school. You're chosen. You're chosen by Tasha to come and do the qualifications. You're very strict and
Yes, I
interview them, don't
definitely
you?
select the right people. Well, I hope I do.
Yeah.
Yes, it hasn't failed me yet. So yes, and I'm very straight at the beginning as well. It's, I'm straight in with what I expect, what I want from everybody, and if that's a no-go at the beginning, then it's not going to happen. So yes, and everybody's got to work well together. Yeah, but I'm quite from that very shy, quiet, withdrawn child. Nobody sees that in me anymore. So so yes, but yes, you've had the experience in my RAF for 6 months, haven't you?
You know where you stand. So
Yeah.
how do you so once you qualified, is you got any like hints or tips, or how do you explain this to your customers, exactly what you've been through, and how do you tell your customers about your qualifications and what you've done?
I share when we've done an exam and everything else, but to be honest, I've never in 30 years, I've never been asked if I'm qualified by any of my clients. I've never asked what qualifications I've got, but I think because I present myself well, and because of the information and knowledge, they trust me quite quickly, and they trust my team quite quickly, because again, I'm out there and everything else. But I mean, maybe I should shout about it a bit more, but it's on, obviously it is on my business page. And as I said, as each member of staff does a qualification, we shout and scream about it. But to be honest, I actually don't think my clients know
What it means?
What it means. Not just the ICMG, but the sitting guilds, or I know there's a few others out there now as well. I've just never. I think they just want to. I've got to be honest, I've never gone to my hairdressers and asked if they're qualified. I've not even asked my doctor if they're qualified. I mean, I don't see my doctor very often, but my dentist, my car mechanic, we all should be asking. We don't know. We just presume that because they've got a garage and they sound like they know what they're talking about, that it's there. I mean, I have got a badge that I'm going to start wearing that says I've got a nice gold badge that says I'm ICMG
Multiple salon
qualified.
owner.
Yeah, multiple. I'm going to have the list of it now, aren't I? So yes, but I think when people are looking, it's more the students when they're looking to train, that's more important than actually my clients, my actual blog clients themselves. And yes, if you are going to be taught, I was teaching before I was qualified, not the ICMG, but I was teaching people before I did any qualifications. But because we wanted to become more established and everything else, then I then was like, right, well, if I'm going to teach this, I need to go through it myself. So yes,
definitely. And how what's the process? So if there's people listening that think, actually, I'd quite like to get into this and offer that qualification, what's the sort of process that you went through to become an ICMG school?
Okay, so they can apply directly to the ICMG UK. If they're already an experienced groomer and they just want to do the exams, they can go through ICMG UK. I'll give you the details later. Maybe we can share that. There's a Facebook group as well that they can go on and ask lots of questions. If they're brand new people and they want to do a course, then they can contact me directly, and we can start talking. So what I do myself is I cherry pick my students as well, because I want people that want to do it. They're not just doing it because they've got nothing better to do. So what we do, and also it's important that I'm the right school for them as well as them being the right student for me. So they come and do a meet and greet with me first, and my team. So they come and spend a couple of hours with me, just watching what we do. If I've got other students in the time, they see how I'm teaching them. So they start to get a feel for what it's all about, etc. And then if I haven't put them off, then we ask them to come and do a taster week, where they get involved a little bit. They do a bit of bathing, bit of drying. They don't finish, obviously, do a whole dog, but they do parts of it. And then I might let them do a little bit of clipping work. and then they observe. So they're heavily involved again, but it's very limited. At the end of that week, I will give them a very truthful feedback, whether I think it's right for them or not. Because if they're going to come and do a course, I don't want them wasting their money getting halfway through and going, oh no, this is not what I want. It's too much hard work. You know, my courses are intense. Most of my students cry at some point through it because there's a lot of pressure and it is an intense course. So yeah, and it's not, and I make it very, I've actually been asked several times how I manage to get students, because I sound like I'm putting everybody off. And I'm like, yes, because if I give you all the worst case scenarios, and you're still interested, then this is the right industry for you. So that's how I kind of process it with my, but if people are, like I said, already established and they want to go through the exams, they can apply directly to the ICMG, get a membership form, fill that all out. And it's not a lot of money. Like when you break it down, you haven't got to pay for everything straight away. You pay as you go. Right. The only thing you have to pay regularly is your annual fee. But the first exam, they include the annual fee, the cost of the exams, and the books are all, it's all one lump sum. I think it's about £300. It might have changed recently, I can't remember, but yeah, so that's a lot easier than trying to find £2,000 or £3,000.
But to come and train with yourself, to come to Golden Paws and do your courses, what sort of price are people looking at?
So it's the meet and greet is free of charge, because they're just coming and being there. The taster day is then £500. That is then deducted from the total price if they go on to do the course. And it is 8,000 and something, 8.5, I think. Okay. So with that, they get the first qualification, the first exam, should I say, and all their books and their membership. They get a couple of books from me. They get a scissor set from me. There's a first aid course including that. There's also now a super duper business course involved in that as well.
Oh, who's that by?
Well, it's just some bloke I know, you know. So that's all included as part of the course as well. The first aid course, generally, because of COVID, we've been doing an online course, so they can do it in their own time. But again, it's setting them off, either go into a salon, or if they're starting up on their own, they've got some safety things behind them as well. And then yeah, a lot of my course is more the practical. It is quite a lot of practical work, and I said, these are the books, that's down, you've got to give yourself time to read that and everything else. So
will that take them all the way up to the masters, or is that up to CPG and then on?
Yeah, so at the moment I currently offer the CPG for new people. The trouble with the masters is there's a lot of knowledge that's needed for each individual group, and I don't have the knowledge for all of them. That might be something I grow towards, but at the moment I don't. I would rather advise them to go to somebody that specializes in that group, and they can do that off their own back. But again, as I grow and I develop myself, because we're always still learning, that's probably something I'm gonna look at later on and grow up then. The advanced and the next level, people can come back and do that with me, and I can tailor make a course for them. And the other thing I also offer is refresher training. So without sort of take the ICMG qualification to one side, people come to me and do refresher training. I have to say, a lot of people come to me just for confidence boosts. They've either lost their confidence, or there's been problem with other groomers within their areas that have made them feel intimidated and things, and they come and spend a week or so with me. I've had some good feedback that I've really given them a boost and uplifted them. And I think the problem is quite often people are trying to send out these competition grooms to their pet grooms, and then they're charging minimum price for them. And I'm like, they look lovely, but this is not practical. And then the dogs are coming in matted 12 weeks later or something. And I'm like, because you're not adjusting the groom to suit their lifestyle or to how often they come in. So it's little things like that. And again, I can tailor make those courses for people that are already in the industry, but maybe want to go a little bit further, or just gone, right, well, I did my course with whoever several years ago. I've not done any more training. Let's go and see, because I'm always learning. Sometimes my students teach me stuff. There's always something new to learn, or even simple things like using the restraint properly. I'm really surprised how many people don't know how to use a neck restraint correctly, or my way of doing nails, or just common safety really. Face space. I talk a lot about face space with my students. We're also busy concentrating on, a front foot or a front leg that our head goes down and down. And it's like, okay, if that dog retaliated on you right now, what's it going to bite? You got a pretty face or a handsome face. Let's keep it that way, right? Don't get blood on the dogs. I haven't got time to get blood on the dogs.
Can't go back in the wash, can it?
No, exactly. And I do show them, any pictures that I've picked up off the internet where people have been bitten and have had serious injuries because of different things. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, you need to keep that image in your head, because at any point, any of these dogs can change their behavior. You might not see them for 4 to 8 weeks. And you don't know what's happened in that time.
Yeah, so, you don't know whether in pain or from something else that you can't see.
Yeah. Or something's gone on at home. If there's been personal circumstances, there's been lots of stress around the dogs. I mean, I've had dogs that I've been doing for years that are generally well and everything else, and they come in, they're a little bit off, or they're not quite right, or they're a little bit snap, and I'm like, oh, speak to the owners, and they've gone through a really nasty divorce, or there's been a death in the family, or they've been unwell and it's been serious health issues. So there's been a lot of people in and out of their house that wouldn't normally, and that does affect the dog. So
yeah. So just go. Natalie's just so Natalie's already a qualified groomer. She's done her OCN qualifications. If she wanted to upgrade that to like the CPG, or upgrade or do a different qualification to CPG, she could just come along and do the exam. You could do a bit of prep work with yourself, a bit of mock examination to make sure that she's at a standard, and then just pay for the exam. She doesn't have to do the whole 12 weeks, does she?
No, she can, and she can apply for it. I mean, I'm putting myself out here a bit, but she doesn't have to do the mock exam. I offer that because so that people know what to expect and everything else. If she feels confident enough just to go straight to get registered, and you can even do it at competitions. If you're going to competitions, you can do, if you're grooming a dog for a competition, that can be classed as your exam as well. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. So she can go straight for it.
Cool.
Obviously she should come to me for a mock exam, but there's also I think there's 10 schools in the country under the ICMG, and at the moment we're all about a 50-mile radius from each other. So what we all do with each other, if somebody contacted me but I thought there was another one closer, then I would recommend that one. Obviously, if they still want to come to me, then that's fine. But yeah, we all kind of work together so that we're all, but the 50-mile radius normally keeps people. So I'm kind of from sort of Gloucester downwards, really, covering everybody down south. Down south, yeah. And a little bit over to the other side as well. So I'm crap with my geography.
So I think we've covered ICMG. Is there anything else we need to talk about with that?
No, I think we've covered it. You can see how passionate I am about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't shut up about it, don't you? Yes, no, I think we've covered everything with the ICMG. Yeah.
Cool. So I think it's remiss of us to not cover a little bit about your business and how you've been going for the last 6 months, because we've worked together, haven't we, for 7 or 8 months. So let's, if you're happy to, have a quick chat about how business was and why you sort of reached out to speak to me, because I think it was around this time last year that we actually I did the Pet Savvy Day of Business and did a little seminar, and that's what put us in touch, didn't it?
Yes. Yeah, well, I think I followed your page for a bit, and I tend to hover. I'm a bit like a stalker, really. I hover around and I watch and I listen quite a lot. So I was okay with the grooming side of things, and I was getting good clients in, etc. But the business side of things, I was getting kerfuffled with. I was winging it a lot, and I was like, right, well, can I afford a new table? Oh, well, it looks like I can. So yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. But I want to, again, because I'm developing the school as well, I'm always wanting to do better for my students. I was like, right, I need to know a bit more about the business side of things. So obviously we sat and had a conversation, and then I was a bit like, not sure. And then I trusted you, didn't I? Which I don't
Yeah.
do easily. And I think the fact that I could pay monthly was really beneficial for me. And yeah, I mean, I think we had quite a lot of conversations. Now, what I liked was that we talked a lot about different things, and there were some things I was like, Bill, I'm not being funny, but I've tried that. It doesn't work for me personally. However, that's something I could pass on as an idea to my students. And you at no point were like, no, you must do it because I said so. You just kind of gave me the seeds really. And then we talked about the VAT, which I've not hit yet, but obviously that's the next thing. I'm not worried about it. Maybe a little bit nervous, but that'll be pushed aside. I understand it better now. So because I understand it better, I'm more confident to share that with my clients when the time arises. I completely changed how I started running my business as well. And there was a lot of things in the groups and different things people had said as well. And yeah, just started looking at how I wanted, what I wanted and how I wanted to do it. And yeah, I got so much out of it, so much more understanding. Like I said, the VAT was a massive thing. The fact that you sat me down and you did me an Excel sheet, and I don't do computer stuff. You've also been really helpful with, you know, when I was talking to you about taking on the second salon, about having 2 phones, but I need to be able to answer both phones. So you put me in touch with the VOP system, and it's things like that that I would have had a clue about if I hadn't been speaking to you. So it might not necessarily be the sort of grooming side, but the business side of things. And yeah, we looked at a few things, didn't we, and talked them through. And
Yeah, like card machines. Can I mention your thoughts
yeah,
on card machines?
bloody things. So for anybody listening, I'm really not a very technical person, and I get really frustrated if I use something technical, it doesn't work properly. So Bill convinced me to get a card machine. So I did, and the first day I had it, I wanted to throttle him because it went wrong on the first day.
You didn't
But
go out
actually
straight
now,
away. You didn't go out straight away and get one. I think you sat on the idea for a month or so. And
probably a couple of months, I think, actually, yeah. But I do that. I can't do anything straight away. I have to like process it, think about it. And then you talked to me about apprentices as well. And I had somebody that I wanted to take on, but my course wasn't appropriate for her. And then you started talking about, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing apprentices. I'm not sending people off to a college when I can teach them this, that, and the other. And then you sat me like, Tash, just listen to me. So I now have 2 apprentices, which are working out really well at the moment. So that's enabled me to give. So for anybody that can't afford the courses, it's something else I can, because I was like, right, everybody that's coming to train with me needs to have this amount in the bank to be able to pay for the course. But actually there's some people out there that just don't have that money. But actually what we can do is we can introduce them to the industry through an apprenticeship. So yeah, that was something.
Let's talk about apprentices quickly. What has an apprentice sort of done for your business? How have you found it? How helpful has an apprentice been for your business?
It means, so when I'm teaching somebody that's doing a course, I am full on, like, I've got to give them my full attention and everything else. When an apprentice, I'm building them up to be really great in the prep work to start with, and the handling, and I kind of let them do a bit, and then I can step back and carry on with what I'm doing. But it's also meant that my other members of staff, because I've then got somebody doing the bathing and drying, I've then got time to spend with my other new team that are training stylists, that I can start to bring them on, because I'm like, right, I know I can leave her to do the bathing at the moment, or bathing and drying, and we can now work with that. So one of my girls that first started with me, she is now grooming 4 dogs a day, because we've got people in there prepping. So yeah, it's really beneficial because it's an extra pair of hands, but without the pressure of me going, right, I've got to get you to this stage in this certain amount of time. it is, you know, I really focus on the prep work, the handling, nail clipping, all that sort of stuff. And then once those 12, I mean, obviously if they advance quicker than that, then great. But after the 12th month, I can either keep them on and then I will start to grow them as well. Or they're then prepared to go to another salon to seek employment, where they can then hopefully develop with them as well. Because so many people contact me going, oh, I need another stylist, or I need this and I need that. And I'm like, right, we've already got somebody there. Yeah, but I need somebody else, I need somebody. And I went, you're already working with somebody that's doing your prep work for you. They know the dogs. Why don't you take on somebody to do the prep work, teach them that? And they're like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. So we all automatically think, right, I need another stylist. Actually, why don't you move that person on? Or if you haven't got somebody else working with you, take on an apprentice, let them sort of support you, you support them. And when I work out, if you book in an extra 1 or 2 dogs a day, that kind of covers their wages.
Yeah, I was going to say, how have you found the financial? Because I think that causes a lot of fear, especially for some of the new employers. Some of the fear is around the finances of having an apprentice with them and having that commitment. How have you found? I mean, you already had staff, didn't you? But
yes, yeah. Well, it meant I could take on 2 apprentices, because obviously they are on a lower wage because they're also getting a qualification at the end of it as well. But it also means that, yeah, no, it's, for me, I'm looking further down the line. I'm not just looking at the moment. I need to grow a team because I'm growing my businesses. And if after a few months they're not doing their work, or they're not pulling the weight, or they're not what I thought they were, or they're not working as a team, I can go, this isn't working out, and I'm not committed to keeping them on. Obviously, there has to be exceptional circumstances to get rid of them before the course is up. But at the end of the 12 months, I've known that person for the 12 months. I've worked hard with them. They've worked hard with me. And I hope that I can keep them on and grow them into a stylist, because I know that person then. They know the clients. I know if I can trust them. I know if they're a good team member. If at the end of the 12 months, financially, you're like, that was a struggle, it's too much hassle for me to employ, you know, it's not for everybody, then you're not committed to keeping that person on at the end of that time. But my plan is that I hope with my apprentices that they eventually become team members. But we'll have to see how that goes. And also they're getting a qualification, so there's now a dog grooming qualification as well. And again, that is all, from what I've read, a lot of it is all around the prep work and the handling. It's not much to do with the styling as such, which I think is fabulous. And you can have anybody at any age. It's not just for certain age people. It's people of all ages can apply for it. I think if they've got a qualification higher than the qualification they're doing, then you won't get the funding for it. If they haven't done a higher qualification, then yeah, they're absolutely fine. And I go through the Northern Education, which have been, you know, really helpful with it. So
good.
And to be honest, I don't even think about that I don't even think about them being an apprentice. They are just a member of the team, you know.
I'm glad I talked you into it.
Yeah, you talked me into a few things.
So,
but that's why I'm glad that I did it, because I wouldn't have thought about apprentices. I would have dragged my heels with a card machine. I would have been where I would have tried my hardest to stay in the VAT threshold, which meant I would strangulate my business and I wouldn't have been able to grow it. And I'm all about giving, it's not just me that's going to benefit, it's going to be other people I can give opportunities to as well.
Why would you have done your damnedest to stay under the VAT threshold?
Because a few years ago, we hit it without much knowledge, and we nearly went under with how much money we had to find in 12 months. So obviously that scared the EBGBs. I'm trying not to swear. Did you notice that? It was good, wasn't it? So yeah, it was all about, oh no, we don't want to go over there because then you've got to pay this, that, and the other. But it's not that, you know, you've got to put that on the price. And yes, again, now I know more about it. I'm paying more attention, and when I go shopping, when I go to mechanics, whenever I spend money, everything's got VAT on it. Yeah. Everything's got VAT on it. So and the thing is, though, people always, and me included, worry that, oh, we're going to lose clients. well, if I lose, I'm not going to lose all my clients because I've gone VAT registered. I might lose 2 or 3, but I will gain 2 or 3 because my business has such a good reputation. But you could lose clients because they think you've got a bad attitude. You know, you could lose a client because you've told them the dog's misbehaved. There's lots of reason you might lose a client, and you can't please everybody. And if somebody can't afford it, there are other people out there that can manage a groom that's cheaper than my prices or doesn't have the VAT added, etc. The one thing I'm explaining to people now when I'm adjusting my prices is, so I try and get everybody in sort of 4 to 8 weeks, my clients, and I now tell them that if they go over that time, I've got to spend more electric on them, on their dogs. I've got to spend more time with the electric shower, more time with the electric hairdryer, more time with my electric clippers and my electric table. So I have to charge them more because the electric's gone up so bloody much. There's nobody out there that's going, no, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. We're all in that, whether it's personal or business. We've all hit that. So that at the moment is working really well for me. So like, right, yeah, okay. We'll come in more often.
And again, it's the same with the VAT, isn't it? It's like, hello, Mr. Customer, we're an extremely awesome business. We're really busy. Loads of people want to use us. And because of that, the government are saying we need to collect some more money for them.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going in your pocket, is it? It's going to the government. So
I've actually I've seen again through the I think it's through your page, a couple of posts at what people have written on theirs, and I've actually saved them because I'm like, oh, that's really good. So that when I come to being VAT registered, I can share that with, you know, on the page and house. And eventually, once I get into routine, it will just say when people ring up for a quote, I will just say, but that price is inclusive of VAT. I will get to, at the moment it's going to be added on. So yes, you've given me a lot to think about.
And I think I actually spoke to a couple of groomers at Crufts, and I was really, really impressed. They're coming together. They're starting their own business on their own. So there's going to be 2 groomers and probably an apprentice. And I think this is about right. I think I see, you know, groomers with around 3 people, like 3 people in the business. They should be around the VAT mark. That should be how much they're sort of producing. And they sort of just went up and said, well, we're just going to go VAT from day one. We're going to hit it. We're going to hit it within a year and a bit. So we might as well just go day one, have all of our prices, including VAT. And then we haven't got that stress and that worry in a year or 18 months time when we've got to charge it. So it's like, wow, excellent. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah. And I think that as soon as we all start doing it, it's just going to be, when we all start, the new people coming through are not going to worry about it because it's already going to be a habit anyway, and people are going to expect to pay. It's because the industry has grown so much since I've been in it. You know, I mean, where we were 30 years ago to where we are now, it is advanced top speed, you know. So I just think, once we're all doing it, it won't even be a question or a worry. No.
Excellent. Well, I'm really pleased that you're steaming ahead. You've taken on your second shop. You've announced to the world that you've bought the shop and you're the new owner. And you're just going to spend the next 6 months consolidating that, aren't you? And then
yes, I'm going to be hiding for the next 6 months.
Getting all those plates and all your ducks in a row.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very, like I said to you earlier, it is stressful, but I'm very excited, and you know, we're going to have a chat again in a few months' time, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm fine. So
completed that. On to the next one.
It's all done. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to let you go and deal with your cold.
Thank you very much.
Let you go and get comfy. Thank you for coming on and talking us through the ICMG qualification and being open and honest about your business and what's going on. It would be really valuable for people to listen to, and lots of people have been watching tonight already. So your business is Golden Paws Limited. Whereabouts are you based?
Golden Paws Grooming Limited. We're based in Stonehouse. If anybody wants to message me directly, if they've got any questions about the qualification, they're welcome to, or they can add it on to. I probably won't look tonight, but I will look in the next couple of days. But yes, it's Golden Paws Grooming Limited. We have got a Facebook page, and we've also got a website as well. or if they want to email me, it's tasha@goldenpawsacademy.co.uk, and I will get back to them as soon as possible as well.
Whereabouts is Stonehouse?
So, well, why don't you know these things? I keep forgetting that there's people from all over the place. So Stonehouse is in an area called Stroud in Gloucestershire.
We've got people
So
in
we're-
like the US and stuff listening
I
to
know,
this.
I know. That's next year. So yes, we are not far off the junction 12 off the M5, if anybody is kind of that
Cool.
graphic. So
Now-
yeah, Stroud in Gloucestershire.
Here's a question actually, before we wrap up. I was approached by some Chinese gentlemen at Pat's the other day, and
Yeah.
they basically saying that the grooming quality in China is very poor, and they were looking for grooming qualifications. So maybe Golden Paws Academy could have a Chinese attachment,
Yeah.
or take Chinese students to do the ICMG
See,
qualification.
I'm surprised by that, because there are some amazing
Yeah,
groomers in China and Japan. There's some people that I follow, and I mean, they are another level. They obviously charge triple probably what I would even consider. So yes, that does. But yeah, who knows? This
Who
year
knows?
Gloucester, next year the world, eh?
Next year Taiwan or China. You
Yeah.
never know. You never
I'd
know.
like that. Golden Paws made in China.
they basically they ran a animal supermarket all over China, and they were
Wow.
looking at introducing grooming, and I sort of suggested, well, why don't you introduce a pet groomer and a vet's, that kind of model.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we'd be interested in seeing, like, getting people trained and stuff. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? I'm open to anything.
Right, I'll let you get on. Thanks a lot for joining us, and
No problem.
take care, and I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Bye, everybody.